Okay, so today is part 1 of 2 for the best releases and best pickups of 2020. What's up, guys? It's Cam coming at you from the 2-6. Welcome back to Carolina Fragrance Reviews. 2020 is Dunyan Rings, and I don't have to tell you what a disaster 2020 was. It's been stressful. It's been hard. We've had more challenges than anybody should have to endure, but I guess we can say the upside is that this year is over, and it also has caused a lot of us to toughen up, even let's say even get some thicker skin. Now, of course, that doesn't mean everybody has, but what doesn't kill us will make us stronger. So what has happened in 2020 has been some good and even stellar fragrance releases. I didn't know if we would actually get that, but in hindsight, after going through my collection, I had some pickups for 2020 and several new releases of 2020. This might wind up being a bit of a lengthy video, so I'm going to cut it into 2 parts. So today is part 1 of 2. Without no further ado, let's get into this. To kick things off, I have a blue fragrance from Acqua di Giò that I wasn't so sure about when it first came out. I think this was released, it was very early in the year. It seems like it might have been around February maybe. That seems about right. But anyway, it's just in time to be kicked off for spring and summer, where we normally would have been able to really spend a lot of time at the beach or laying out or mingling. Speaking of mingling, I actually saw a video of 2 people kissing with face masks. That's just how crazy this year has been. So, let's just give it for what it is, right? So, face masks or ADG at the beach, which would you rather have? I would much rather take this. Now, this is a sweet and light and aromatic version of the original DNA that has like a really nice, sweet opening that is just magnifico. And like I said, I wasn't like super crazy about it in the beginning, but it definitely has grown on me. And yeah, I'm digging this fragrance now. So I don't think I ever really said anything like super derogatory, but I was a little bit like, But it was a, not like a wow, mind-blowing release, but a solid release nevertheless, especially for a year like 2020.
Number 9.
One thing I think we all can agree on is like the future seems as uncertain as it's ever been. So I guess just living one day at a time as if it's our last, because hey, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. But it is nice to ponder about the future, which happens to be the theme for the next fragrance that I'm going to talk about that comes from Centauri. This one is called Proxima. Now, this fragrance right here is probably one of the most unique fragrances that I've picked up this year. It's very different, very unique, creative. I love the whole theme about it. I love the presentation. It's just, I was very, very impressed with this. When I heard about it and heard how much time that Peter had spent on this, tweaking it and getting it just right, I just pulled the trigger the night that it was released. It was March 20th. That's my brother's birthday. That's how I was able to remember the exact day or date that this fragrance was released. Now, like I said, this is based off the future, so that means it's got all synthetics or aroma chemicals, and that was the whole, in case you guys don't understand how Peter has done his line, he's got past, present, and future. So the past is going to be all naturals, present having naturals and aroma chemicals and synthetics, and then the future ones being nothing but aroma chemicals. So to be pure aroma chemicals and to smell this cool, very impressed. It's got a note of grapefruit, it has some black currant, some iris, and a nice musk on the dry down. Very unique. Maybe not for everybody. I did talk to a couple people that were like, but hey, I hear the same thing about fragrances like Sauvage and, a lots of people like Sauvage. So if you want something creative, something different that you will not smell like anybody else, and a super awesome presentation and bottle to boot, check out Proxima.
Number 8.
So we go from talking about the future to the past, but not really the past. We're going back to 2015 though, because we got to go back and scoop up a fragrance that was released in 2015 that I picked up in 2020. It is Nissaba's Umbra Calabria. Now, man, oh man, I'm going to go ahead and leave the link to my review on it right here so you can get the full review, my full thoughts, my full excitement. But you want to talk about just an amazing fragrance for the summer, and that's how I wound up putting that big dent in that thing. Look at that. There we go. I had to get the lighting just right for you. But yeah, I put a massive dent in this. I wore it tons. You can wear it year round, but it's bright, it's fresh, it lasts a long time on my skin anyway. So just in case, you know, any of you are like, well, it don't last on my skin. Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry. I got an Italiano oily skin that just like really holds fragrance very well. But this has almost like a lemony vibe on the opening, has some bergamot, some vanilla to sweeten things up really nice. Little bit of spiciness. It's just, wow. Like I said, just watching my review, you'll understand why it was worthy of talking about a fragrance that I picked up this year. And if you'd like to sample it, you can go to today's sponsor. Go to www.myfragrancesamples.com. Enter my discount code CFR15 to get 15% off of your purchase. Anytime you buy a sample, you get a nice surprise of an additional free sample that you will not know what it is. So that's a kind of like, you know, like a little grab bag, a little something extra for you.
Number 7.
Now, one thing that did cause a ruckus was the fact that Kilian was bought out, and a lot of people had a lot of doubts. They were curious if Hennessy Kilian would like really be hands-on. Would there still be the quality there? Would there still be, you know, the Kilian legacy to be carried on? And yeah, to have the liquors to come out, which was Angel Share and Roses on Ice, both of these, wow. Solid release. Some of the best fragrances that came out this year. You got Angel Share, which is perfect for this time of the year. When it's nice and cold, this has sillage that is just absolutely insane. You will leave a scent trail everywhere you go. Compliment pulling. It's just like awesome, like cinnamon and like soaked barrel and cognac. I mean, yeah, if you haven't tried this yet, you need to. It's really good. And then its counterpart, which actually impressed me more in the beginning because I wasn't able to spray both of these very liberally with those tiny little samples, but I was right about Roses on Ice. This is really good. Now, I think I mentioned that I thought that this might be a little bit better than Angel Share. And that's going to be very subjective as to what your taste is. Now, I thought that Roses on Ice would probably be just like a rose dominant fragrance. That's not the case. Rose is just an accent that is just kind of in the background. You've got like juniper, and it's almost like a gin, and you know, you get like a gin vibe where you've got the juniper and cucumber on these top notes. And I was thinking, wow, okay, like kind of feeling this thing out, and I was getting really good performance for something that's like light, you know, effervescent with that, you know, kind of like that gin and tonic vibe with cucumber. That's kind of what comes to my mind. But I cannot wait to wear this like in some super high heat this summer. Whether we're quarantined or not, I will still be hanging out by the swimming pool regardless. And yes, I will be rocking this. And if it means I have to bring the party to my house, that is what we shall do. Kissing through face mask and all.
Number 6.
Another solid release of 2020 was actually a big difference from the previous fragrances, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I'm talking about the latest release from Kirin NYC Rose Inc. Now, I remember Mona talking about this fragrance. That's the owner. I mean, I talk to you sometimes like you know exactly what I'm talking about. But when Mona was telling me about this, like the concept for it, and they had a couple of different scent profiles that they were thinking about going with, they also wanted to come out with some cool art. So they decided to go with the theme of tattoo. So, hey, with me being, you know, all tatted up and everything, I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be dope. But I didn't know how the whole rose thing was gonna work out, because rose is a note that works for me in certain situations, and then others not so much. And some people actually were talking about they like had smelled this before I actually did. And I don't say some, maybe I think it's like a couple, and they were saying that this was a very feminine fragrance. It is unisex for sure, but on the dry down of this fragrance, yeah, men can pull it off. You know, if you can pull off florals, you can pull this off. Now, what I meant by it being different from previous releases, they went with very light, bright, cheery, you know, very easy to wear, kind of flirty fragrances, where this one is much more daring. And I don't mean like, you know, over the top daring to like super niche where, you know, you can't wear it, you know, like something that's got like civet and like you know, a 75-year-old oud that they just like pulled out of the ground and just like poured it in here or something like that. It's not that kind of complicated at all. It's just very different, a little bit more daring, which I think is cool. I like it when indie brands step out and try to do, you know, something different, you know, thinking outside the box a little bit. The woodiness on this dry down is really, really good. Now the rose is a little bit kind of a jammy rose, but it's totally doable. On the opening, I liked it. I did. I wasn't sure how it was going to work on my skin. But after a couple wearings, I was like, you know what? I like this. I mean, I like the scent by itself, but I was like, I don't know if I'd rock it or not. But I've actually got compliments with this. The dry down just blends very, very nicely. So I would describe this as a warm, dark, and mysterious floral. And then you get a little bit of spice with the saffron on the opening. It also has some black currant that kind of rounds it out and makes it kind of smooth. And then you've got that rose note mixed with a nice amber and cedarwood. So I think this is a very unique and solid release for 2020. I haven't did like a full review. This is the first time me even breaking it out. I've had this fragrance for quite some time, and I was just going on the shelf looking at some of the things that I picked up this year, and I'm like, dude, here it is, like getting ready to close 2020 out. So that is exactly why I feel that this fragrance is worthy of being in this lineup. If you haven't checked it out, you need to, especially if you're a fan of rose. This is a nice rose fragrance. So that's gonna do it for part one. Let me know down in the comments if there was anything in here that you have tried, that you love or want to try. And we will do part two on the next episode. Until next time, I'll see you on Carolina Fragrance Reviews.